start up the recording there, and I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Heal up. Come over and face me. Enemy sighted.
Alright, so already have a big thing that we'll talk about after we're done here, but it's a little long of a thing, so we'll discuss it after we're done.
Alright.
Alright.
التكرار يعلم الشطار.
Okay. One tiny thing I would mention is just watch out for spam jumping. Now, spam jumping is just basically is when you go jump, jump, jump. That's just going to make it essentially easier for people to headshot you, and it's just not a good habit to be in. But it's not a very high priority of a thing.
Got you.
Okay, make sure when there's nothing to do that you're reloading, right? That way we have ammo for when people actually need it. So just anytime you have a lull in a fight where there's absolutely nothing to do, right? You're not shooting anybody or healing anybody, right? That's where you should just be reloading.
Oh.
Alright. So, do you know what sensitivity and DPI you have off the top of your head?
I don't know my sense, but I know my DPI is, let's see, 400, I believe.
400? Okay. And then, I guess, once you get the chance, just, next time you die or something like that, you can just real quick, like, check it in your controls. It's just controls, and then it should just be the first thing that pops up, I think.
Oh no.
Yeah, make sure watching out for that, or the deflector, and not firing straight into it. Might be a good opportunity to maybe try to nade around his deflect.
Okay. Right slap.
Alright, so we're going to talk about a lot of positioning things, but also just making sure we're self-nading there to keep ourselves alive. So if you press escape real quick, you can actually check in options. Yeah, so you have a 15 sensitivity. Okay. Nope, I already found it. Alright.
Soldier 76 reporting for duty.
Oh. Oh, I missed.
Alright. So first off, don't heal people when they're purple, just because it's not going to do anything at all. Wait till they're done being purple. Secondly, it seems as though we're just kind of rushing our ability usage. Like we kind of go, oh, I want to sleep, and then we instantly fire it without putting any thought into it. So just ability usage is real important. I think we're going to talk in depth a little bit more on that too. But just make sure we're putting more thought into our abilities, essentially.
Okay. Right slap.
Oh, watch for the charge coming in, right? That's very easy to dodge if you were seeing it coming, so we can sleep it, we can just run left or right, and then we're safe either way. So you just want to make sure we're paying attention to it, and then that's an awareness thing. Alright,
Oh,
so in terms of sensitivity and just kind of overall gameplay, it looks like we're very kind of like frantic as we're looking around, and it means that, you know, when we kind of move our crosshair around very, very fast like that, it ends up meaning that we might end up missing more shots or even just being less aware of our surroundings. So I don't think you have a very insanely high sensitivity. I think yeah, we actually have a pretty decent sensitivity if you
good.
do have 400 DPI. But I think that, you know, I probably say just for comparison, yours is maybe almost like 2 times what mine is. So you have a pretty high sense, or you know, pretty high, not you know, not insanely high. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just possibly lowering that a little bit, or but then also just maybe not shaking it around so much, just because that might mean that you end up missing out on a lot of information. Now, besides that, we're gonna, like I said, I'm queuing up a lot of things that we'll talk about after we're done this game here,
Okay. All right.
Commencing
and then
in
that's
30 seconds.
it for now.
I'll enjoy the quiet while it lasts.
Try not to get yourselves killed out there.
Five, four, three, two, one. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
Okay, prioritize healing when healing is needed over trying to go for damage or whatever, right? So there, when Mercy's low, we need to prioritize keeping her alive over trying to
Oh,
shoot at the
good.
Sombra.
I didn't even see that she was low, to be honest.
Yep, well then that again is awareness of making sure we're paying attention to our surroundings and looking at people, right? So again there, right, that was a situation where Mercy was low, right?
Yeah.
It's just a scratch. You'll be fine. Get back inside. You're powered up. Get in there.
Your visor activated.
Mm. Did I miss you pressing tab there? How did you know that he advisor?
I usually between a Rhine and a
Hmm?
between a Rhine and a soldier, I usually nano the soldier
Okay.
just because of the high damage output. I guess.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too after we're done here. So I probably would not nano a soldier if he does not have his ultimate. And then I'll
Okay.
explain why after we're done here.
You'll be fine.
Oh, I thought he was still up.
Alright.
Thank you. I make it work. Get back in the fight.
Hmm.
keep me out of the fight. We need to keep the payload moving.
Very nicely.
Upper slip behind us.
Typically not a very good idea to spend your time trying to shoot at shields. Ana doesn't do enough damage for that to really be worth it in most scenarios. So you'd be better off healing or shooting at people or looking for an ability or reloading, right? Or just paying attention to your surroundings than to shoot at shields because it really doesn't do very much on Ana.
Okay.
Today, Reinhardt, but not today.
So don't spam shields with
Yep. Not on Ana.
Oh man. Probably should turn them a little bit more. So, you know.
Nanoboost is ready to deploy.
So here would I save my nano or Orion
For Ryan.
for Orion with alt, or would I just wait?
Well, I mean, in this scenario, right, I think going for Reinhardt definitely would be good. You don't necessarily have to wait for his ultimate to be up for it to nano him, just kind of when he's in position. But you also, as of the moment, do have two better nano targets than Reinhardt, but we'll discuss that again after kind of the game is done here. Okay. As of the moment, we don't have teammates with us. Make sure we're backing up when we don't have teammates with us. We'll go more in depth on that. Again, after the game is done, we have like 10 things now. We'll go over, but just make sure we're not sitting in there when we don't have teammates with us.
Shield was about to break right there.
Oh, that's a big visor.
Yeah.
Nanoboost is charged.
Signal's asleep.
Alright, so I'm going to stream if you'd like to take a look. And we have a lot to go over. So we're going to be covering like every single base in the game. So
Oh, okay.
let's get into it. So
How would I watch yours?
yeah, so you basically, if you just, I think it displays your own stream right now, right?
Yeah.
If you just click it, then it should give you other options.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so let's see. So we're on Ana. So first off, let's talk
Never
positioning.
stop
As
fighting for what you
positioning,
believe in.
we basically had like no clue where to be standing ever. And we're gonna talk about that. So first off, the very basics of how does positioning work, and this is probably one of the most important things that you could have been working on in that game, right? If the enemy team is standing there, and our team is standing, and I'm standing here, right, and they're all shooting at us, right, and we're getting soldier visored, whatever, right? It takes us 1, 2, 3 seconds to run over here. Now, this is behind cover, and from cover, you cannot get shot at, right? You cannot shoot through solid objects, right? So if soldier is visoring, we cannot get shot here, right? But in that time it took us to walk here, we died, right? Because we were out in the open. Now, if we're standing here, we can do pretty much all the same stuff, right? Except for now, it takes us half a second to duck behind cover, right? Which is 6 times faster than what it took us previously while running over here, right? So
Yeah.
therefore, good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover, right? So this is much better than this, right? Because when we're right here, we need to go all over here, right? So pretty much every single moment of that entire game, we're out in the open, right? Without using any cover, no. And there's a lot of different types of cover, right? It's all over the place. You have slopes, you have pillars, right, in between shots when you're reloading, when you're low health being shot at, right? You have corners, same thing. You have random objects that are sitting around, like the payload, right? You have pillar, corner, doorway, corner, right? Now, on top of that, let's talk about high ground. So high ground also acts, the entire thing acts as natural cover, right? They can see us, now they can't. They can see us, now they can't, right? So all
Yeah.
of high ground acts as natural cover, which makes it great, right? On top of that, most characters in the game can't reach you on high grounds, right? 2/3 of them can't get to you without using stairs, and then the ones that can need to use abilities, right? And then now they're out of
Target
abilities.
eliminated.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, you also have a ton of visibility, right? We can see over here, and over here, and over there, and over here, and over there, right? But when on a low ground, we can't see over there, over there, over here, right? And we can't see any of the high ground, right? So we pretty much want to be taking high grounds whenever it's possible, right? Whereas we never really took high grounds when, in our last game at all, right? So one other thing, I guess, real quick while we're on positioning is range. Make sure that we are keeping a more of a medium range from the enemy team, as a lot of times we just kind of like run and stand like really close to the enemy team. So Anna wants to be close to her team and probably like a medium range away from the enemy team. So that usually
Okay.
means probably like a good like 15 meters away, if at all possible, right? Probably say like preference range for you as Anna would be like 15 to like 30. I'm trying to think in my eyeball this up in my head. Yeah, I'd probably say like 15 to 30 meters away from an enemy team, and then as close as possible to your team. Though it can be like up to like 15 meters away. Probably would be the max if possible, right? So those are kind of the
Yeah.
ranges. Whereas a lot of times we just would kind of like end up like running, and we would like be in the fight, kind of standing, and like the enemy tanks would be like on top of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's positioning, right? That's all that. So let's move on. I guess let's trying to think of what to talk about over next. So let's just go over it because we have to go over everything, every way. Anyways, let's go over when to scope versus when to unscope, right? So when you're scoping, you have different types of scopes, right? You have your unscope, your scope, and your quick scope. Honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about quick scoping for now. A little bit out of the current range in which we're at, but let's talk about the other two, right?
Right.
So unscope and scope, right? Essentially, right, you use it in different scenarios, right? Your
Yep.
unscope, right, is good at close range, and your scope is good at long range. So your unscope, right, keeps up mobility, keeps up visibility, and also is a projectile by nature, right? Which means it's hard to hit at ranges, right? But it is easy to hit at close
You
ranges.
disappoint me.
Now, when you scope, you lower your mobility, which makes it easier for people to shoot at you, but also easier to shoot at longer ranges. You lower your visibility, which again allows you to see better longer ranges, but is a negative at a close range, right? And then it also gives you an instant shot instead of a projectile, which again is going to be better for long ranges.
I
So
expected more
the
from
ranges
you.
in which you should be using this is on squishy targets, so anything that's not a tank. You are going to be using unscope within 10 meters, right? 15 meters on a tank since they have bigger hitboxes, right? And then anything past those two ranges are going to be scoping, right? Say that again?
I said I was just repeating what you said.
Hmm?
Keep it.
Sounds
I
good.
was just I was just yeah. I was just, said keep it.
All right. So Nanoboost. So Nanoboost likes consistent damage targets and dislikes skill shot characters, right? Any character that requires you to hit a hard to hit shot is not a target that you're going to want to nano, because it means that they're probably going to be missing those shots, right? Even the only time you would ever nano boost a skill shot character is when you're at like a probably like a 4,500 plus level, right? Like a really insanely high levels. Like the only time you'd
Yep.
ever nano somebody with like that. So that rules out like normal Hanzo, McCree, Soldier, Widow, right? Pretty much all the hit scan characters, right? So when it comes to characters, right, you have you think of two things, right? Do you have a good primary or a good secondary or both sometimes, right? So for example, Diva would be An okay primary, but she has a ultimate doesn't do anything, right? So we can just
Okay.
like run through the characters real quick here and just like go over what they are. So Diva's okay. Orisa is probably a little bit worse than Diva, but she's like doable, right? Reinhardt is good. Roadhog is not good without ult, is really good with ult, right? Sigma is okay. Winston is really good. Ball is okay. Zarya is good, but only if she has high energy, right? Ash is not great, but Bob is okay, but only
Mhm.
if they do not have sleep or hack. Bastion is really good with or without ultimate. Doomfist is really good with or without ultimate. Echo is uh, okay without ultimate, but is usually pretty good in her ultimate. It depends on who she's copying, though. Right? Genji without Blade is okay, or is like probably meh, but with Blade is the best Nano Boost target you could
In the
go in
game.
the entire
Yeah.
game. Right? And we had a
Now play
Genji,
it.
and we had a Genji in our last game, and we never nanoed him. Right?
Oh, dang. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll talk about how you can pay attention to that better in a minute, but let's just keep going, right? Hanzo, bad. Junkrat, bad. McCree, good with his ultimate, bad without ult. Mei, bad. Pharah, good with or without ultimate. Reaper, good with or without ultimate. Or sorry, to clarify, okay without, really good with, okay
Hmm.
without, really good with ult. Right? Soldier, bad without ult, really good with ult. That's probably like the second best combo with Nano in the game. I'd probably say like these three guys like Genji, Reaper, Pharah, Soldier are kind of like probably like the four best with a when they have their ultimates. Right?
Okay.
Sombra, no. Symmetra, only if she's high energy and is near people. Torbjorn, bad. Tracer, like meh. Widowmaker, no. Ana, and then pretty much all the supports are like very situational. Usually no, maybe like a coalescing or rallying, right?
Okay.
Those would maybe be the okay, would be the doable ones, right? The decent ones. So that's pretty much it there. Now, how do we make sure we're actually getting off good nanos? So, every time you get into a game, you're basically gonna have what you call priorities.
Feeling
So
sleepy?
we're going to get into the game. We're going to take a look at what our team comp is, and we're going to think in our head what are the 1, 2, and 3 top priorities for this game, right? And we can put conditions on them and say we're going to do this if that, right? So why we do this is, let's say we have a Genji who's number 1, but if he doesn't have Blade or he's dead and we need a Nano or it's the last fight or whatever, right? Then we would go to number 2, right? And then for the same reason we would go to number 3, right? So we kind of put a priority so we know who to nano in what situation, right? So
Yep.
if we had a Genji and a Hanzo and a Winston and a Reinhardt and then whatever sports, right? We would probably go Genji with Blade number 1, then Reinhardt number 2, Winston number 3, right? It would just be
Got
the
it.
kind of our priorities. Now, let's just come up with a I guess never mind. We'll go over we'll go over that next when we get into it in our next game. We'll just do a quick run over that. So let's continue. Um, abilities. Abilities are really important, and a lot of times here we kind of just toss them out. I don't feel like we put really time or effort into thinking about them. It's kind of just like, oh yeah, I have an ability, toss,
This is
toss,
some
right? And we just
good.
kind of throw them out there without really even looking, and we don't really give them the respect they need. So abilities are very important, right? On Ana, this is how you
Speed isn't
carry,
everything.
right? Your ultimate, right? Or sorry, your nade, right?
It's
Is
like the strongest in the game.
yeah, it's
Ability.
when you land the 6-man anti-nade, that is going to a lot of times be more powerful than your nano boost, right?
Hmm.
And yet I probably only saw above a 1-man once, right? I only saw a scout like a
Yeah.
2-man like one time, right? And pretty much every single nade we ever went for was like a 1-man anti-nade, right? So when we make sure first off we're actively looking for more, right? We want to make sure pretty much every nade that you throw should be you're looking to hit anti-nades, and then you heal when healing is needed, right? Because you don't dictate when healing is needed. Healing just kind of
Yeah.
pops up, right? And when it is needed, we throw it. When it's not, we throw anti-nades. So when
Okay.
it comes to anti-nades, don't chuck them straight at people. look to go, first off, you don't try to chuck it straight at people because then it can just go sailing past them, right? Whereas if we throw it at the ground, then it has a very wide radius and it can hit them very easily, right? And then we want to aim in between as many people as possible instead of throwing it straight at one person, so we can get more than one person, right? We can get 2+, right? So we want to make sure we're going for more people, whatnot. Sleep, make sure we're not just, like, I think, we mostly had, like, normal aim, and then we kind of, like, as soon as we go for sleep, we're kind of like, wata! We, like, kind of flick it off into oblivion. So make sure we're not flicking it randomly, right? Just kind of shoot it as if you're shooting an unscoped shot.
Okay.
Quick.
Should I maybe bind it to a mouse button then? 'Cause
Nope.
I think that's what, like, no, that might not be it, but I don't know. Hitting
Yeah.
shift is weird for me. I mostly play like other FPSs, like Valorant, CS:GO stuff.
Yeah, so it's
the thing is kind of weird.
yeah, so I mean it's up to you. Some people do that. I don't. I've peaked on Ana, and I never swapped it over. But I mean, if you feel like that helps, sure, go for it. Quick nade tech on Ana is if you scope in and you line up your ultimate charge with somebody, right, and you press E, your nade will hit them from any range, any height, right? You're not gonna want to use that at like close ranges because it's not gonna be needed. But then at a long range, right? At this range, because we're an even footing with them now, it's going to be our Q, there at the bottom, and we're just gonna line that up, toss it in.
This will only hurt
Oh.
for a minute.
Wow. Okay.
So now let's see. What else is there? So how to tell whether or not a fight is won or lost, right? So when it comes to telling how you've won or lost a fight, mainly comes down to watching kill feed, right? Kill feed's the top right corner of your screen. It's going to tell you when you're up or down people. When you are up 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage, right? When you have an advantage, you can play more aggressively. You can go in further. When you are up 2 to 3 people, that is a one fight, right? At that point, you no longer need to use your ultimate, and you can push really aggressively and go forwards more. Now, this also goes the exact opposite direction. When you are down 1 to 2, that is a disadvantage, right? You haven't lost a fight yet, but you might be, but you are losing the fight, so you might want to be a little bit more passive. And then also when you're down 2 to 3, that is a lost fight, right? That's where you no longer use ults, and you look to either get out if possible, or you let them kill you, right? You don't want to just kind of sit around and stay in there, right? Because then what ends up happening is you start staggering yourself. You're relatively new to the game. Are you familiar with what staggering is?
No.
No? So staggering is basically like dying late, right? So when you die late and your whole team is ahead of you, right? They're all over there, right? That means that they have two options. Either they wait for you, in which case you've just wasted a bunch of time, or they go in without you and now they're going in while they're at a disadvantage, right? And then they're more likely to lose that fight. So staggering's not good, and we did it like 1 or 2 fights where we kind of just like sat around in the fight even though the fight was over and we didn't have any teammates. Just make sure we're not running back in when we don't have teammates with us, right? Because if we walk back into a fight when we're down 2, 3 people, we're walking into a fight that's already lost, right? Let's see. Was there? I think there were some other things, but I'm trying to remember what other things. Oh, yep, that thing. Okay, so let's talk nades. So when it comes to hitting nades, right, we discuss how important they are, but let's also discuss how to land them. So when you throw a nade, you have to look to get around obstacles. We have our teammates, we have shields and tanking abilities and tanks themselves that'll block it from hitting people behind them. Like, can't name the number of times that we just hit Ryan over and over and over and over again, right? And only Ryan, and that's it, right? So when it comes to throwing grenades, we want to look to get around them. Now we can just try to avoid them, like we can move to the side of our teammates, and we can wait till they drop shields and abilities, and we can try to chuck it past the other guys, right? But that can get a little bit hard. But if you need to, that's gonna happen. But the other thing you can do is you can just take an off angle. So this would be the main angle, enemy team, our team, right? But if we were to walk over here, well, now we've just gotten past everything. The shields, the tanks, the abilities, our team, straight into the back line, and it's very safe and fast, right? We just back to our team instantly, right?
Okay.
Same thing, enemy team, our team, main angle, right? We can just come up top here real quick, right? We can still heal. Takes only like 3 seconds, right? We get up here, shields, team, straight into the back line, right? Very, very easy.
أنا هاخد
All of
Yeah.
high grounds act as off angles as long as it's above them. If they're all the way over there, then it doesn't really act as an off angle, right? Trying to think, was there anything else? I think you can just go ahead and look to hop into a game, and then I'll think if there's something else while we're queuing. Tab. Make sure you're pressing tab in between every single fight, basically, right? It's a really good habit to get into. This shows you ultimates, so you know who you can combo with in terms of, in terms of like characters. We talked about comboing ultimates, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that this also tells us, did our team swap any characters? Did the enemy team swap any characters? And then it just gives us a bunch of information, right? So we want to take a look at it, make sure pressing it regularly, as I didn't really see us pressing it at all while we were playing.
Okay.
Also, just let me know when you get in a game, because I'm still thinking here.
I'm in one.
Okay. Well, man, queues be fast at low ranks. Alright, so we're looking at our team comp. We'll wait till a couple more load in, but pick out the 1, 2, 3 when people do load.
What did the start? Okay, so it would be Soldier, Diva, and then Arissa, unless Symmetra's a good chart, right?
Yeah, so just clarifying again, right? Soldier, if he has his ultimate, right?
Yeah.
Then you're correct. I probably put Sim if high charge and close to enemy team probably as number 2.
Okay.
If she, over Diva, but again, it's very conditional there. And then you are correct. Then it would be Diva, then Orisa, right? And it's fine to have 4 sometimes, right? It's just 3 is the rough what you want to have.
Got you. Okay.
So here, while they're kind of rotating through the room, you can maybe like chuck in a nade, and then that can be how we can get in some juicy damage, maybe potentially get a pick. Remember you have to be scoped, by the way, for that nade tech.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, it just goes up there. Okay, this is the range in which we should be scoping. Pay attention to health bars, as right now we're just overhealing. Overhealing is anytime you're healing
And then
when people are fully
wasting
trained.
ammo.
Yeah, wasting ammo, wasting time as well, right? Yeah. That's exactly what you want to be doing with your nades when there's something else to do. Would even do that with sleep too, whenever, because you just don't need it for anything else as of the moment.
Oh no, I felt.
Okay. 'Twas good positioning though before you did fall. Yep.
Oh,
so
man.
just remembering that just nades and sleeps are your carrying potential on Ana, right? It's how you win games on your own without your team doing anything, right? Whereas if you're just heal botting, right, that's just how you exist on Ana, right? So our impact on winning that fight probably would have been to land some big abilities, but pretty much all of them ended up missing. Right, so as of the moment, you probably want, if your team's
Spot. Oh shit.
Okay, probably go for the sleep on him first, right? That stops him from killing people, and then that also means that your team can kill him if he is slept, right? So if someone's flanking you, probably your first instinct should be sleep unless someone's low.
Oh no.
Okay. So in that scenario, nade for healing on your teammates faster when they're all shattered like that. Heal them up, and then also look for a nano boost before we die, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so
Dang. Okay.
in that situation on defense, maybe positioning like just slightly further back.
Okay.
There is some places you could have parkoured to if we
That's what I was
had
trying
the
to
time.
find.
Yeah, you can't do top right. You could have done top left though it would have taken a little bit of time to explain how to get there.
Okay. Yeah, I watch
Those.
a lot of Sleepy, so I couldn't remember what said.
I think you can get up there possibly, but I think I don't think so. I think you need to have be on a different character. You can do something else.
Never stop fighting for what you believe in.
Something I might also recommend is maybe having a slightly smaller crosshair, as yours is slightly large, and then that can it really large crosshairs really don't do anything for you except for just clutter up space. So you don't want it too small to where you can't really see it, but just smaller than we currently have it. More so like
I
kind of
didn't.
in the middle.
I didn't even know that you could change your crosshair.
Yep.
Hell yeah! This is what I usually play with in other FPS.
Yep, so you can change the color, the size, the type, right? And you do a whole lot of stuff. Some characters you want different things on than other characters. But like Ana, dot's fine. You can change the how big the dot is, stuff like that.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Capture objective A.
You know what? That's the Ana default crosshair. Dude, it's been so long. I didn't even know that was the default. Okay, make sure when they're rotating, we're rotating with them. Otherwise, we have to just run through this open space without the shield, right? And
Yeah.
and then we can end up dying. So, push in with them. Okay. Throw the nade there, right? When you heal up when you heal 4 people in purple Reaper, that's definitely a nade you want to throw, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
usually and then also like throw healing nades when people are critical and in danger, right? So like when they're all low and in danger, that's when healing nades are wanted.
Get back in the fight.
Slept.
Oh. So we'll talk about that in a moment, but besides that,
Oh no, I missed him. I missed him.
so
I was aiming for the
yeah.
Ryan.
So in that instance, probably ultimate wasn't needed because you're already up 2 people, right? So if we're watching kill feed, you're pretty much already winning that fight. So sleep, whatever that ability is, our ultimate, Nano probably wasn't needed there. And then we'll also talk about something in your settings that can help with that afterwards too.
Okay.
Yeah. Want to be reloading, right? Like, when you have the time. Watch your health bar. Make sure we're not sitting at 100. Request healing. You can self-nade. There's a... Yep. Push in a little closer. We don't really have visibility from back here.
I was about to say.
Yep, so from back there, we weren't really able to see what our team is up to, so you want to make sure we're able to see our team, right? So when it comes to Ana, you basically have 3 boxes you want to check. You have specific Ana positioning, right? You have 3 boxes you want to check off within that is,
Okay.
1, can I see my team? 2, can the enemy team see me, right? You don't want the enemy team to see you if you're just healing, right? If you
Yeah.
aren't healing, then you can peek them, but essentially using cover and just staying behind cover when you're healing, right? And then third is, can I land abilities, and that's off angling, which we already talked about.
I will keep you healed.
Oh no, I missed the sleep.
Yep, so that's audio awareness, right? Just reacting faster by listening and keeping our ears open. So things we can do to help with audio awareness is turn up normal volume if needed, turn down music volume if it's high. Do you have surround sound features activated on your headset?
Yes.
Yes, so surround sound helps a lot, and then also is just training yourself to actively listen for footsteps and gunshots and ultimates and abilities, right, like teleport. Right, so here press tab, right, who are we ulting, right? We want to be thinking, okay, Soldier doesn't have ult, so who's kind of number 2 then if we don't have ult on Soldier?
Ryan.
I have your back. You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay. Very nice sleep. Probably don't want to be running on the point just because that puts it, that's where everybody on their team's going to be. There's no cover there, right? So sitting maybe on like the right side where you have those pillars to use as cover, and you can potentially do parkour up to the high ground if you know how to do it. And then you also just aren't sitting on point, right? Because you think about it, where's the one place that the entire enemy team needs to go when you're about to cap point.
The point.
Yeah. So real quick, press options, right, and go to your settings. Go to all heroes on the top right. Yep. Go to Ana. Right. So if you take a look at your scroll down a little bit more. If you take a look at your Nanoboost sensitivity, I'd
Okay.
probably lower that to around the 60 to 80% range. So what that does is when you have that at 10%, that's going to mean that you basically have to be staring straight at the person for your Nanoboost to register, right?
Oh,
You
okay.
have to be staring straight at them. But if you were to have it 100%, it's going to be very lenient, right? It could just end up going to the person next to you instead of the person in front of you, right? So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
lowering that a little bit can allow you to be more accurate on who you're actually trying to shoot at.
Okay. I'm gonna try lowering my sensitivity.
Hmm.
How does the sensitivity scale in? Is it? Would that be like a lot going down a lot? I feel like I don't go down that much yet.
No, I think it's just like that would be going down probably just a little bit, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Take your medicine.
Wasted my sleep.
Yeah, watch health bars, right? That's awareness, right? We don't want to overheal when people are falling. We've been doing that a little bit. Massive nade.
This is much better than a cabana. Nano Boost is charging. It's going to be okay.
60 seconds remaining.
Okay, looking for nade soon.
Oh no!
It's quiet.
Slept.
Watching your back. You're powered out. Get in there. This will only do.
Okay, good nade. They probably want to just stick on the high ground, right? Because we kind of left the high ground and good cover to open area where we, start getting shot at and we have nowhere to go.
Okay.
I'm not ready to
10
hang up.
seconds remaining.
Don't tolerate defeat. Get on the attack now.
Much.
Complete. Score 2-2. Switching sides.
So the best we can do is draw. But
Select your hero.
yeah, no. So I usually play tank. Support is kind of a new venture for me. I think that's why I W key so much. Is because that's what I like to play. I like to be able to W key into people and just hit them for a lot. But because usually I play Sigma. That's my main is Sigma. But
Yeah, well, you just remember that different characters have different play styles, right? You play differently on different characters, and supports most of the time aren't just gonna W.
yeah.
Incoming in 30 seconds.
This time I need to not fall off of that.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Yep, and you don't have to exit scope either to throw it, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. I mean, it'll automatically make you exit it, but you don't have to exit before you throw.
Oh, man. Oh no.
What are in a 1v1? What are your chances up against a tracer?
Not very good. I should have just ran. Huh?
Yep, exactly, right? So in that scenario, right, running, try for the sleep. Once you miss, probably just running towards your team would probably be the best option there instead of trying to duel her if she has a much better duelist kit than you do. Right? She's gonna be she's gonna have a much easier job of actually landing her abilities, right, and going to be killing you than you do her.
So right there, should I just back for my team even
Nope,
though we're
because
losing the
it's
point?
no, because
Because
you're
I was trying to touch,
because
right?
the game's about to end, right? So that
Yeah.
was last fight. So in a last fight scenario, you fight even if even if you have a 0.1% chance of winning, you still fight,
Mhm.
right? Because
Okay,
there's nothing else to do. Okay, so here we actually we have a couple more minutes here. So we're gonna take the last couple minutes to wrap up the session. So I'm
Okay.
going to go over the main points, do a quick review, wrap it up from there. So let's see. So on Ana, ability usage, try
Never stop
more with
fighting for
abilities, try
what
to
you
land them
believe
more,
in.
go
Mhm.
for more ambitious ability usage, don't randomly flick with her sleep. Nade, go for nades in between people. So we talked about the
Mhm.
scope tech, off angle for it, but we'll talk about when we get to positioning as well. And then don't try to chuck it straight at people, throw it at the floor, right? Which we
Mhm.
just said. I think that's about it, right, for now. And then overall, probably say ability usage goes to like a medium priority for you to work on, right?
Okay.
Ultimate usage, right? Knowing who to actually be nanoing, right? And make sure we're nanoing the right targets.
Yeah.
Besides that, checking nano priorities, right? Coming up with that at the very beginning of each round. That way you know who you're going for. And sometimes even if people swap, that can change up your nano priorities as well, right?
I have you on board.
Mhm.
So paying attention to that, press tab in between every single fight. That's good for good awareness as well. And then besides that, don't ult when fights are won and lost.
Mhm.
And don't hold on to your ultimate for extended periods of time. And then overall, I'd probably say that as well goes to probably like a medium priority for you to work on. Moving on, mechanics, make sure, I think just general mechanics are fine, but make sure we're not over healing, right? Healing when people are
Mhm.
already full HP, because that does nothing, it wastes time, which can really add up, right? Like, we
Mhm.
didn't go over in depth on that, just because we don't have a ton of time, but like, if
Feeling
you,
sleepy?
I've had people that overheal like 14 seconds during a fight, and then if that adds up to literal minutes throughout your gameplay where you're just AFK, right?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so just making sure we're not overhealing because that's wasting time.
Justice
Reload
delivered.
instead. And paying attention to health bars, and then besides that, make sure we're knowing when to scope versus unscope. It's 10 meters is squishies, anything past that is scope. 15 meters is tanks, right? Anything past that is scope. And then I think that's pretty much about it. So overall, probably say that goes a little bit lower. Probably more so like a low to medium priority for you to work
This is
on.
going to hurt.
Positioning, make sure that we are taking
Hostile
cover
down.
usage. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover, right? We died a lot because of this, right? And we also took a lot of unnecessary damage.
Lights
Take
out.
high grounds. High grounds are really good to have, so look to take them whenever possible, and look to rotate there in between
This will
fights
only
and
hurt for a
whatnot.
minute.
Don't drop randomly from them if possible.
Yeah.
Besides that,
You
make sure we're
disappoint
not
me.
standing like inside of the enemy team. Try to put a little bit of space between
Bedtime.
yourselves from them. Probably like a medium distance, like 15 to 30 meters away if possible. And then close to your team if possible, right?
Okay.
And then overall, probably say that that positioning took a, and then also off angling, right? Taking off angles
Mhm.
in high grounds where we can get nades
Oh,
and sleeps from,
you
right?
look
And then
tired.
also
I
on a specific
expected more
positioning,
from
right?
you.
Can we see our team? Can the enemy team see us, right? If we're just healing our team, why should we stand here when we could stand here, right? And
Mhm.
now they can't see us, and we can still heal. And then also off angling, right? So that overall probably still goes to like a medium high priority.
Okay.
And then finally, we have awareness, right? Paying attention to your surroundings, right? So paying attention to your health bar. When you're low, request healing, grab a health pack or
You
self
need to
nade.
double time.
Besides that, make sure we're paying attention to do pay attention to health bars so we're not overhealing of our teammates, and then also pay attention to danger levels in health bars because sometimes we just wouldn't nade when people needed it. So as a reminder, you nade when people need it. When people need healing, you don't nade when people don't need healing. So when they are low and in danger, you nade, right? Keep them alive. Same for yourself. And then when they're not, you go for anti-nades, right?
Mhm.
Some other things to throw into mechanics that I forgot about: reload, whenever possible. Anytime there's a lull in a fight, so you have ammo. And then also on top of that, make sure that we are not, or that we're prioritizing healing over shooting at enemies if people are low on our team. Right, back to awareness, paying attention to tab and team compositions, and then besides that, paying attention to where the enemy team is and where our team is, and then audio awareness so we know where people are around us. And then that one, probably say goes to like a medium high as well. So overall, let's go through that one more time. The order is going to be number 1 as positioning, number 2 as awareness, number 3 as ability usage, 4 as ultimate usage, and then 5 as mechanics. Right? Do you have any questions about anything we've talked about or anything else at all?
No. Very good job.
All right. So